Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast to guide you home into your human journey here on Earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard, and it is my delight to co-create with Gaia and share our messages from Source in this now moment. Here we go. Episode 438. It is Friday here in Cincinnati. There is a huge thunderstorm rolling outside, so I'm not sure if you'll hear all the rain and the thunder as it's happening, but it is such a cool place to be sitting inside, creating this podcast, feeling all the elements outside. It is a beautiful time to be alive on our planet. And today, I have all these different thoughts. I guess this happens every week, but I have all these different thoughts, and I'm feeling like they're going to come together in a way that will be new in awareness for me. And I'm just sort of feeling into it. So we'll see how it comes through in today's episode. The title is Speaking Our Truth. And what has prompted it is the video, I guess, that was just released by Will Smith, finally addressing what happened at the Oscars 3 months ago. And I didn't watch that video. What I watched was the analysis of the video. The behavior guy or behavior expert, body language expert, there's a whole bunch of different, what would I call them, guides or expose people that are bringing their skills into this new arena of analyzing videos, analyzing footage. The one guy that I was watching, he is, I guess he used to be an interrogator, and so he knows how to analyze the body language of the people he was interrogating, and so he would have clues as to what was really happening inside of them, and then that would help guide the process to, completion. And so he had a very specific method and goal in mind when he used to do that work. I guess then he went into video and camera work on, I'm having a hard time talking today, on movie sets. And so he would, be engaged in the behind the scenes camera work and helping people. So he brings all of this together into this really interesting skill that now has, 750,000 followers on YouTube. People who, like me, are interested in what's actually happening behind the scenes, what's actually going on inside of somebody, not what they're presenting in a polished video or image that they're giving to the world. And so he analyzes, how the words and the body expressions and the whole scene and setup is giving you the message and what is actually true of what's being presented. So I was watching his video this morning about Will Smith, and it was fascinating because I'll put the link to it below if you're interested. But it was fascinating because I think what I want to offer as wisdom in this moment is his statement of every single thing is a decision that was made that created this experience. So the angle of the video camera, the position of the body, the way that the interview or presentation begins, like everything is a decision that is made, and that decision shows what's happening internally or behind the scenes that is wanting to create this message that is presented. So I'm not going to talk about Will Smith the whole time because, I feel like much of that has been hashed and rehashed way too many times already in a video. What it sparked for me, what I'm sitting with, is how this is becoming such a normal way of receiving and analyzing and interpreting messages that people are sending out. How there are so many more videos being made, podcasts being created, voices being heard. There are so many more people sharing and speaking their truth, and then creating all of this content that then sits and is waiting for whenever you're an energetic match to it, for someone to find that content and then dive into whatever the message is that that person is sending out. I don't know, this is an interesting analysis, but I was thinking about like the Akashic records, in mystical spiritual circles. The Akashic records are considered to be the library of all of the lives, past lives, future lives, parallel lives, dimensions, timelines that an individual soul experiences. And all of those records are kept and then are accessible at a cosmic level by those who are trained to go access the records. I believe that's true for the people who are accessing the records. I believe that's actually what they're doing, and they believe the structure of that, and they're doing that work. And I believe it's not really like there's a place with records. I believe everything is energy, and all energy is existing in the universe, in the multiverse, in the collective cosmos. Like all of that energy exists and is constantly ebbing and flowing and informing. And so if we know how to trust our ability to read energy or to tap into that field of energy, all of that data is available for us to retrieve and to access. And so energy reading is, to me, very much like a Akashic record reading, or whatever form you want to give that accessing of information, of data. So when I was thinking about all of this content that is created, so if we have the Akashic records, or the morpho-energetic field, as Richard Rudd describes it, of the whole cosmic soup, if all of that information and energy is available at a cosmic level, it feels like we're creating a mini version of that now here on Earth, with all of the content that is being created and stored and is accessible on YouTube and Instagram and Snapchat, even though that's faster, and Twitter, and I don't even know. There's so many places where information is kept, is stored, and is filed by the name of the soul who is creating that in the human form. And like you can tell it's all kind of sitting with me. I'm like, okay, so why is that happening on Earth right now? Why is this such a thing? Why are we all creating so much more content? Why are we speaking our truth, our messages out, and having them recorded, and then creating libraries of it? Like, what is the compulsion that is sort of the momentum that is carrying more and more humans to do this? I've been doing it for a few years. I know lots of people have been doing podcasts and videos much longer than I have. There's new podcasts starting every day. There's just so much interest in speaking our truth, in expressing what's moving through us, and having it captured digitally somehow and then stored so that it's accessible for other people. I think that's fascinating. 20 years ago, nobody did this. 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, nobody. Newspapers writing books were about as much speed and content as we had access to or wanted to create. And then technology, the internet, is just like sped this all up. And I find it fascinating. And on the other side of that, how that is a tool or a resource for us. As I create this content and I put it out, even though I'm stumbling a lot today, I'm very proud of the work that I create. I'm proud of the ability to put an energy, a message into something that can be transmitted and shared with you to see what it pings awake in you. And so I love this exchange that happens. As I lost my train of thought because I was talking about sending these messages out. When we're all doing that, when more and more of us are doing that, there's this library of messages and truth speaking that accumulates. And if we're in alignment with our truth, if what we're creating in the content is authentic and real and we believe it and we share it because it comes from that knowing inside of ourselves, then we're in integrity with what we're creating. And so a body language expert could pick apart the nuances or the symbols or the things that are happening inside of me as they watch this, but it would be the message is consistent. Who I am is consistent with what I'm sending out. And so there's not a lot of picking apart to do. And so I feel really comfortable and confident in what I'm sharing, what I'm saying, holding through the sands of time, holding steady as I continue to evolve. And so I feel really good about that. There's the negative side to that for many people, though. When, I guess we just went through this with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. When your message perhaps is not in truth, or when you're manipulating something to try to convince the viewer or the listener that this is what they should believe about you, but it's not authentic, it's not in truth, then you are open to the body language experts and all these other people analyzing what you are saying and having their message, which is you're not in alignment, you're not actually authentic, or you're trying to present something that isn't real or true inside. And so we're kind of catching you in the lie. And there have been so many of those, such big, high profile public examples of that happening. I think many of us are becoming body language experts. We're like, okay, did they look to the left? Did they look down? Did they look up? Which direction? And what was happening? Did you see how they did this thing? We're starting to learn from these teachers how to read the signals that someone is sending to us unconsciously, or behind the words, what messages they are sending to us. And it's so fascinating because my question again is, why is this happening right now on our planet? Why are we all so engaged in trying to see what the truth is behind the screen or behind the video? Or, for example, Will Smith, very public life, has made his whole career is millions, billions of dollars, whatever he's made, off of fans paying to see movies that he's created. So we've supported him being an actor. We've paid for him, for his lifestyle, to be an actor. And so he's mastered his craft. And yet, it seems like there's this sort of, what would the word be? Obligation? Or it's like there's this pulling back with the exchange where the fans are like, but I actually want to know who you are. So I'm paying you to act. I'm paying you to create these movies. But I need to know that who you are behind the movie, behind the scenes. I want to know that person. And are you telling me the truth about who you are? Can I see the authentic private person who's behind the public persona? And Will Smith is trying to decide, like, do I want to show you who I am? I kind of did in that moment of reaction. I showed you I was angry, and then I got all kinds of shit for that. Do I really want to show you what's happening inside of me? And I don't blame him, right? Like, he has a huge platform with a whole bunch of energetic irritation around it. But the body language expert, when he was analyzing Will Smith's apology video, over and over, I mean, I guess you'd have to watch the video and determine for yourself, but he sort of had this feeling of, I don't think he's in truth. I don't think he's actually giving you the full story. So he's presenting an apology. He's presenting that he wants to make amends. But behind the scenes, is he actually regretting his choice, or is he willing to share why he made that decision? And it doesn't seem like he is. And so I feel like there's this sort of push-pull from Will Smith, like, I want you to be my fans and I want you to like me, and also I don't really want you to know me. And I honor that he has a boundary, that he doesn't want to share all of his shit, and he doesn't have to. But I think the record keeping, maybe that's the word that feels relevant. The record keeping that is happening here on earth, I think I just got the aha. This feels true to me. So if the Akashic records are about all the actions, all the experiences that we have anywhere throughout time and space, through any soul experience, if the Akashic records are where that's kept, and so we can access that to see, like, are we in alignment? Are we following the highest potential? Have we had this experience before? You know, we can tap into that to gather data for ourselves here. I feel like all the podcasts, all the content that's being created is like a record keeping. This feels so exciting to say it in this way. I haven't seen it like this. It feels like that's a record keeping of the human journeys that we are each taking. And because I've said that here in this space, I feel like showing up and doing Gaia's love is my accountability to me. Am I in integrity? Am I living an authentic life? Am I showing up as the highest and best version of myself every week? Do I keep coming back to this certain powerful core foundational belief of mine that it's an amazing time to be on this planet, and that I'm deeply in love with Gaia, and that I love how Gaia loves me and loves all of humanity? Every week when I show up in this space, like, that's the driving energy that is moving through me. That's the record keeping that I keep coming back to. And so I tap into it every week, and then I get to share how my humanness is playing out, and what's happening collectively, and how all of that is helping me stay in steady alignment with this one path I'm walking right now as Vivienne on this planet at this time. So if that's my record keeping, then all of these videos, all of these audios, all of the images on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, like everything that is captured on Twitter, everything that is captured is a record. It's a model of what's happening in the universe. It's a reminder for us as humans that we're accountable here in this human experience. The records are being kept. And we're also going to be accountable at a universal, cosmic level of all the things that we ever choose to do in this lifetime and all lifetimes, in this planet and on all planets. Like, everything is kept as a record. And so, how's your record keeping? Maybe that should be the title. How's your record keeping going? As we all start to squirm, right? It's so funny because I wondered that. What was the one quote that someone said? Oh, I just saw it posted on Instagram. It was something about, oh man, I'll have to find it and credit it to the right person. But it was something like, what if every human was able to read every other human's thoughts? Like, if you could just telepathically know everything that's going on inside of someone else, the first thing that would happen is you would lose all your friends, is what the quote says. And then the next thing that would happen is you would realize, like, how much you can come back into alignment if you change what you're thinking. Like, how much energy, I'm totally paraphrasing, how much energy we're wasting in these thoughts instead of creating thoughts and content that is magical and mysterious and cosmic and amazing. We have all these other random things that are going on inside of our head. And I feel like what the body language expert was showing in that video about Will Smith is there's one thing coming out of his mouth, and there's another whole thing that's going on in his body and that you can see in his mind with his thoughts by the way his eyes are moving and his head is moving. Like, what's coming out of his mouth is not a match to what's going on inside of him. And so he's not speaking his truth. He might be trying to, or he might be wanting to, but he's not. At least not through the whole interview or the whole video. And so this is so fun to process this live in the moment. And so if that is all true, if if the record keeping that is happening in the cosmos is of everything, and I say cosmos because is it a universe, a multiverse? I don't even know. It's so big. It's so big. Out in the consciousness, let's call it that. Everything that is happening in the consciousness that has record keeping of it, it's happening here on earth too. And we aren't always remembering that. We say the lie or do the half lie or do the omission. Oh my God, kids are so good at omissions, aren't they? It's like, I didn't remember that part of the story. Yes, you did. You totally did. You completely remembered that part of the story. You just didn't want to tell me that part because it would get you in trouble. Yeah. Especially if you have siblings. Oh my gosh. You can omit so much about your own story and remember every detail of your siblings' stories, especially the parts that get them in trouble. But if that record keeping is happening in consciousness, and here we are on Earth, and the record keeping is happening while we're here in these human journeys with all the thoughts and all the emotions and all the things that are happening in and around us, that record keeping is emitting out to the consciousness, and it's sitting there waiting for when, as my third eye itches, for when we go back to source or to our guides and we're like, how'd we do on Earth? And they're like, let me show you all the records of what happened on Earth that could have been a little better. You could have chosen a little higher path in that moment, or those billions of moments, right? Yeah, I'm sure our guides are like, check, check. It's like in Pinocchio with, is it Geronimo? Is that, oh, I should know this. That's terrible. Yeah, anyway, isn't it Geronimo the cricket? Who like remembers everything and is constantly telling Pinocchio that he's lying. So if that record keeping for consciousness is also happening here on Earth in this human experience, maybe there's a way that humans have been aware, or I mean, everything, the soul knows when it comes here that this is going to be the journey. So the souls were aware that the human journey would be having the record keeping, but would kind of forget or not worry so much about it and just sort of live life. And maybe what's happening now is that because we are evolving, because we are awakening, we are remembering more of this infinite aspect of ourselves, there's a way that we're translating that into a human understanding or accountability or expression of it. And so we're creating our own record keeping. Doesn't that feel so true? Like we're creating visual representations of our record keeping. The podcasts, the interviews, the posts, the messenger chats, the emails. Oh my God, the emails. Like there's so much data that gets pulled when, and I'm not even talking about data collection at a political governmental level because that's beyond my scope right now. I'm just talking about our own individual journeys. There's so many email records, phone records that will show how we are living life, what we have done with our time, how we have spent our days, and you can get caught in the lies if you're lying. You can get caught in the places where you're not in integrity or alignment if you're not in integrity or alignment. Or you could use technology. You could like flow with the process that's available and have technology help you stay in alignment, help you keep course correcting, so that, like, for example, when I make these videos, I don't do it as much now and I probably still need to, but I would make the video. Back when I did audio, I did the same thing. I would listen to the audio, but I make the video and then I watch it and then I see myself reflected back to me. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know if that's the best word to use, or you're saying a lot of these repetitive sounds that are kind of a time filler, a waste, or my eye contact, or the way I'm sitting or moving. I see myself reflected back to me, and then I am my own body language expert. I can feel where I felt uncomfortable or where I felt like maybe I wasn't going all the way into the full depth of that story or truth, and I was holding back a little bit. There's a way that we're able to see ourselves and analyze our own record keeping. Is any of this making sense to you? It's so clear to me now that I'm saying out loud, which is another thing I love about this podcast. It's like saying it out loud. I hear myself say it and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's absolutely how I feel. That's really the message I wanted to share. That is the energy I'm feeling that I would like to transmit out through this video or through this audio. And so the accountability is helping me stay in integrity in my record keeping. When I hear myself speak my truth and I listen to that truth expressed, I can feel it in my body. I'm like, yeah, that's truth. That's actually the words I wanted. I used those right words. And I'm glad that I paused to check that that was the word or that was the energy I wanted to articulate. And so that accountability is helping me in my own record keeping. And so there's all these videos. I don't know. I think they're valuable to other people, I guess, maybe. And also, I don't know if it's so much about that. I love when people listen or watch or engage because I think that their reflections are so fun for me to hear. Like, what did it ping awake in you? I love that. And I want it to provide value. I want the exchange of time to be worth, what is it they say in Spanish? Vale la pena. Like, worth your value, worth your time. And also, it's so much about my own record keeping. Yeah. Yeah, almost like a journal. My best friend Angie has said that. She's like, it's almost like you have a diary with all these videos. And one day you'll be able to go back and watch all of them. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I don't know. I mean, I go back and rewatch all of them. But it is a beautiful record keeping that is happening. And I feel like this rise in podcasts and YouTube channels and, more people on social media, I feel like the rise in that is maybe a knowing or a sensing that we need to be aware of what we're saying and how we're saying it. That these dialogues and interviews and conversations that many podcasts have where it's two people talking or multiple people talking, those conversations bring forward truth as we're speaking our truth, and then that is captured and it's now a record keeping of the truth that was spoken in that moment. I think about, so here's another example. Aubrey Marcus just did a podcast with Aaron Rodgers, who I don't follow football, so I wasn't aware of how important he is. I asked my son and my daughter, and they both just laughed at me like, Mom. But it's okay. I know now. There's always room to learn and time to learn. I haven't watched the whole interview, but apparently he came on to discuss his journey with ayahuasca and then also his experience of being famous during the way that he handled the pandemic, which from what I've heard was not stellar, not in integrity. And because everything is a record keeping, here he is now, I feel like, course correcting, trying to bring forward his truth. So I haven't watched the interview yet. I don't know how he's going to do that or what the feeling of it is. But I do believe that Aubrey Marcus is able to hold really steady and have lots of space for someone to speak their truth. So I'm excited to watch it. But what was fascinating is I Googled Aaron Rodgers just to see, like, who is he and what's happening? And my daughter was telling me that he was engaged to this woman who was an actress who I know about. And I was like, oh, Fault of Our Stars and Divergent. So I was looking her up. Well, then I found out that apparently, I feel like a gossip magazine right now. I found out that Aaron Rodgers is now linked to Blue of Earth. You guys know I love Blue of Earth, and I've been following her for a while, and she's good friends with Aubrey Marcus. So I was like, wow. So I started looking at articles where the press was now being introduced to the girlfriend of Aaron Rodgers, if that's true, I don't know if it is. As the press was introduced to this new person who they didn't know, all the latest things that were, all the latest record keeping that was contentious or provocative is the word. Provocative is what they focused in on. So is Blue of Earth a witch? Is Blue of Earth a medicine woman? What does that even mean? And so all of these really shitty, from what I could see, articles were written about this person who I've been following for over a year now, who has such integrity and who speaks her truth so beautifully, who has created this library of record keeping that is gorgeous. Like I believe she follows her truth 100% and is not afraid to speak that truth. But here's the press looking at the record keeping with their slant, their perspective, and now she's got all these labels or projections that perhaps aren't true. So we're really all over today. So if that's the case, if the record keeping is happening and she's created a library of records that are in integrity for her, that feel in alignment for her, when there's this projection that comes towards her of people who don't know her, and I'm speaking for Blue, but I've never met her. Let's say this projection comes towards her with all these labels and judgments, and they're not what she believes to be true about herself. If that situation is happening, kind of like Will Smith, he has this reaction, he hits, and it has this whole thing, and then he withdraws and he goes in to analyze, like, how do I handle this and what do I feel about this whole situation? All the projection comes at him, all these beliefs and stories and things that people are going to work through. Why is that part of the record keeping, right? Why is that happening at this time on our planet? The projections and the ways that the records need to be analyzed and verified, perhaps that's the word, validated. So I feel like that also, I don't know that that's so much a reflection of the cosmos. I feel like that's a reflection of the human experience. When we are souls in human bodies and we're in relationship with people, those people are mirroring to us who we are projecting out into the world. The ones, it could be the ones we're in relationship with, like Will Smith and his wife. They're projecting images and stories and understandings of each other to each other. But there's also the public profile. So Will Smith, the public persona, is getting all these reflections from people who engage with that public persona. So they're mirroring to him what he is showing out to them, right? So when all these people, for example, come towards Blue and they say, you're a witch and you're a medicine woman and so you're dangerous and what is your name Blue even about and why, blah, 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 all this stuff. If she's in integrity, which I believe she is, it can just bounce right off. She's like, oh, well, that's yours to figure out. Why don't you go through my records? Why don't you watch all my videos, listen to my podcast, read all my articles, and then come back to me and tell me, because now you'll understand who I am. Because I'm in integrity with the way that I live my life. So I'm not afraid of your projections or questions. Like, dive into my records and you will see. You will see who I am. If you have any questions, let me know. Right? And so I feel like her way of navigating that is going to be pretty flawless. Like, okay. Will Smith, on the other hand, so here he puts this video out that says blah, 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 and all these projections come back and they're like, I don't know. Did you really tell us the truth? Is that the whole story? We don't know. I don't believe there are records underneath that will substantiate what he is saying. And so there's more of this integrity, right? He said in the video, he said, how did he say it? My wound or my dharma is that I disappoint people. And so that's what I'm here to work on. And I feel like because he makes this video that isn't still fully in integrity, the projections come back at him. He's going to realize that he's disappointed people. This is, again, all my own thoughts. My analysis as an energy reader. He's going to feel all those projections, realize that he still is disappointing people, and he still has work to do to get into integrity. So he's going to have to go back, hunker down, do some more work, and try again. Right? And so the records create a pathway for him to practice speaking his truth. So I guess the overall message for this whole rambling mental analysis of record keeping, the overall message seems to be do the work to be in integrity with yourself. And then as you create the records, the videos, the posts, the content, the audios, the books, the whatever, as you create and let that integrity flow through you, your record keeping is going to become impeccable. And so who you are is who you are. And anyone who comes towards any of those records is coming with their own filter, their own judgments, their own stuff. If you know you're in integrity, there's no need to defend any of that. There's no need to go into explaining or justifying, or you just know that this is who you are, and that the intent with which you create everything comes from such a pure space inside of yourself and your own knowing of you. Yeah. And then we all are bouncing and learning off of each other, which is the human journey, right? This relationship is I'm going to be the best, hopefully, version of myself, and I'm expecting that you're going to show up in a relationship and be the best version of yourself. And if we're both good and not good, but you know what I mean? Like if we're both solidly in our own knowing of ourselves, then we can have some really cool, interesting conversations and exchanges. If there are gaps or wounds in me and you ping into that and I ping back, and then we get all, whoa, right? We get all enmeshed. Then it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work to unravel from that. And I've been in many relationships where I have not been solidly myself, where I have, yeah, been not so great. And so I haven't shown up as my best self. And then I get all enmeshed. And then the other person has the matches and blah, 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 blah. So the joy of this journey that I am on is that I just keep clarifying more and more about who I am and what I believe and how I feel and how I want to share what I feel. And as I create these records with the videos and the audios and the posts, when they come from that centered space inside of myself, and I can just, right, just keep tuning into that frequency, then it's like more and more of me heals and strengthens, and then the ones that keep coming towards me are matching that, which is beautiful, because then you get to create from this place of wholeness and fun and, yeah, magic. So lots of questions in here for you to ponder as I pondered them out loud. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I love the idea of record keeping. I know it happens at a cosmic level. I know our souls are constantly evolving, and as we do that, I've described this before, I feel like everything we create and we experience as a soul is all put onto this beautiful platter, and when we know we're complete and we've learned all the things that we want to learn and evolved in all the ways that our soul wants to, I feel like we come back to source with this platter and we're like, here you go. Here's the new that I have to offer you, as I chose to separate from you for a little while to go on this journey. And so here's everything that I've experienced while I've been separated from you, Source. And it makes all more because we went and did these things. So perhaps part of the healing that is also happening with all of this record keeping is that we can work through the judgments, the shame, the emotions, the anger, the disappointments, all the feelings, all the things that we experience within ourselves and that we project onto the people around us. Like we get to work through all of that. when the body language expert does a video and he's showing what's happening with Will Smith and he's talking about all these emotions Will Smith must be feeling, his projection, right? All of us watching get to go, God, I know that feeling of contempt. I've felt contempt for other people. I've had contempt felt to me. I know that feeling of not wanting someone to see that you're sad or in pain or that you're judging yourself, and so this thing happens on your face. I've done that. I feel for this person who also must be going through that too. And so there's this compassion and empathy that gets activated if we show up in that intention, right? If we show up to be like, hey, I knew that guy was like a loser or this, well, that just keeps the fuel of shit going. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. Wow. Yeah. Record keeping. Speaking our truth is all about record keeping. That's pretty cool. All right. That's what I've got for today. So many thoughts moving. We are also about to go towards the 8-8 portal. We just had the new moon in Leo. If you haven't watched that tarot card reading video, so good. So much value in there of what's happening on our planet right now. It's amazing. Yeah, that's what I got in this moment. I'm sending you so much love. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you for tuning into this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me on Facebook or Instagram in a community I call the Gaia Tribe Reunion, where we show up together to share our soul's gifts, what we came here to Gaia to contribute to humanity. You can learn more at viviennegerard.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.